This is the Seahawkers Podcast, episode 354. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and joining me, my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
Dude, I think we can all agree that this bye week to this point has been a total win.
The outcomes of the game from Sunday were as good as it could possibly be. Outside of, I think, maybe San Fran getting a win over the Cardinals, but I'll accept San Fran looking like the bottom feeder team of the NFC that they are.
Right. So that was fun. And then Russell Carrington-Wilson, back at it. He's back, baby.
No more pin, time to win.
That's right. I didn't. Wow. Look at you with all your rhyming and stuff.
Hey, I got that from Russ.
Oh, that's what Russ said? Okay, well, good for him. All right. Well, that was very clever by him. So that's awesome. We're all excited about that. Chris Carson came back to practice, right?
Yes, he was back at practice on Wednesday. Eskridge back at practice.
Back at practice. Pete sounds good. He's fired up. The team seems to have a good mindset about the second half of the season because, you know, the playoffs are in range. They are. And here we go. It's time to roll. And then we're all having fun.
And Aaron Rodgers gets the vid right before our game.
Yeah, I'm not super happy about that. I don't wish that on no one. But
I was saying that as a joke. I am not celebrating it either.
No, but I am celebrating the idea that he might miss the game. That'd be cool. I mean, sounds remote, but, you know, fingers crossed maybe.
He's cutting it about as close as you can.
Yeah. So that was other good news. And then we get the added fun of the OBJ watch, which I know you're on pins and needles about.
I was all about the OBJ watch. Now, it's looking as if the watch is over in terms of Seahawks fans' interest in it. I don't even think that he's going to end up within the division. Sounds like the Patriots might be making a push, the Saints making a push. I feel like those are the two teams that we see the most interest from. The Packers saying that, you know, they've offered him a vet minimum deal. That seems as though they're just kind of throwing that out there in case he wants to come in. But I feel like in terms of the group of receivers that the Packers have, I don't know if they're... I was talking to one of the writers from Acme Packing Company on field goals, and he was saying that if they were to bring in OBJ, they're probably cutting Amari Rodgers, who they drafted in the third round, because they just have too many guys at that position.
Yeah, who knows how they do that? They may move a dude to practice squad and cut a dude off practice squad, whatever. I mean, there's lots of ways they could go about that if they did want to add OBJ. In terms of the team where he might make the most difference, I mean, that would kind of make the most sense. But I would like to talk about this in terms of the Seahawks, because there's a lot of different thoughts out there on whether or not, let's say he is still considering the Seahawks. Then, you know, how does that match up with how you feel about it? It seems like you're all in.
I'm all in. I'll tell you why I'm all in.
Okay, because there is a half of me that I think there's an excellent case to be made for it.
Well, we saw what this team looked like with one half of Eskridge being kind of that dynamic third receiver. And we just haven't seen Gerald Everett become that dynamic third receiver. We see that he probably has the ability if they were to use him. But I just feel like they need that extra guy, that Josh Gordon type guy. And to me, OBJ is better than Josh Gordon. And
by a mile. Yeah, when you say a Josh Gordon-like guy, I'm like, what are we talking about? He hasn't been good at football for 6 years.
I know. This guy has actually been good. And so, yeah, that's probably a bad comparison, other than the fact that he's a guy that Seahawks fans are always pointing to as, oh, we should get that guy. And then he goes to the Chiefs and he hasn't done anything this year. But
right,
that having that third receiver, I think would be a benefit. And I was all in on the idea of claiming him on waivers at 7 point whatever million it would have been. The Seahawks have the salary cap space for it.
Yeah.
They were in the waiver priority for it. It sounded like he would have been okay with coming to Seattle. He wanted to be a free agent, but he sounded like, based on the report that we heard from Mike Florio prior to Sunday Night Football, sounded like he'd be okay in coming to Seattle. So yeah, why not? And I understand the hesitation because, he's a locker room cancer. He's causing problems wherever he goes in terms of the Giants, now with the Browns. But he's not the type of guy he's not even the type of guy that Josh Gordon is in terms of the problems that he brings to the team.
Yeah, I'm done talking about Josh Gordon because I don't care. But I'll give you a better comp. I'll give you one that makes a little more sense.
You could have saved me and maybe given that comp a little sooner from having to say Josh Gordon so many times.
I wanted to give you enough rope to hang yourself with the Josh Gordon rope. But here's the thing. So there's another comp that makes a lot more sense. And if I'm looking at this on I'd give this a roll, this OBJ thing a roll. It would be Raiders Randy Moss. Like that's exactly the positive comp that you could come up with. I mean, think about it. He was in Minnesota, an epic talent that everybody was like, holy crap. I mean, this guy could be the best in the game, right? And probably was. And then had all his antics, gets shipped out to the Raiders, right? And a terrible franchise that has a history of being terrible, played with poor quarterback play, and his numbers dipped, and he looked borderline washed. And then the Patriots say, yeah, why don't you come and hang out with us? Because, we're a little bit better culture. We got a little better quarterback play. And then he basically sets the single season record for touchdown receptions in a season that year. And then went on to have another 3-4 years of epic play, right?
Sure.
High level wide receiver play. You could sell me on that is the current OBJ, right? The guy that you look at as kind of a malcontent, because we think of Randy Moss through the lens that we know him through now, right? Through the media. And since he's kind of got a little bit older, and he's a cool dude. And you're like, how was this guy ever labeled a locker room cancer? How was he ever? It just doesn't seem to fit.
Because you saw him with the Raiders, you saw him with the Titans, and he was not putting in his full effort at either of those two places.
Right. But now, like, you look at him in that time, you saw him with the Raiders, and you're like, well, this guy is just a freaking head case, blah, 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 blah. Same crap that you say about OBJ now. And I mean, I think he has that sort of ability if he's locked in and is inspired in a new system with a new quarterback and an actual chance to really do something in the league. Now, I think there's also a very comparable counter argument that really, what are we talking about here? Why would we ever want this dude?
If the Seahawks were 7-1 going into their bye week or 6-2, then my take would probably be a little bit different. Or if Eskridge had been healthy for the entire first half of the season and had been performing well, then I'd say, yeah, we don't need him. And maybe we don't even need him because we have Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, and trying to work OBJ into the offense and keeping him happy is just too much to handle. But at 3-5, I'm willing to take that risk going into the second half of the season.
And I can see that. So the counter argument being, well, if Eskridge had been healthy all year and he looked good, then we wouldn't need him. Well, what about the idea that Eskridge is about ready to come back, and now you bring in OBJ, and now you're stunting the growth of your second round draft pick that
he can grow next year.
It's fine. Okay, sure, you say that, but I mean that's a legitimate thing. Now, the other part of it being, how is that going to work personality wise? Like him and DK specifically, I don't know. Like that seems like that would be a possible point of contention.
Why wouldn't OBJ?
Well, because they're two alpha dogs, man. Like they would definitely, I think they would butt heads. Now, the bigger point to no, we don't need OBJ, and he's not going to be the key to us making a run in the second half, because you're right, we're 3-5. We need a little spark and all that. I am so sick and tired of trying to solve our problems on the perimeter. Like, what are we doing? Like, go out and get yourself a different offensive lineman or two. Find a better center. Get more depth on the offensive line. Offensive line, and then more offensive line.
Oh, well, that would have been a great thing to do, I don't know, a week ago ahead of the trade deadline.
Agreed. I'm just saying, if you're trying to give the team a spark and really progress the second half of the season to a point to where you're making the playoffs, it's in the trenches, bud. It ain't on the perimeter. We got enough perimeter dudes.
Yeah,
we're good.
Again, that was something to address before the trade deadline. Now that deadline has passed, this is what's on the table. And what else are you going to do apart from wish and hope that somebody else has a hissy fit and wants out of their team and hits waivers? And it's very unlikely that player is going to fall to you in the waiver claim process.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's already done now. I mean, there's no going out and getting that guy at this point.
I agree with your take as of a week ago. Go out and find those guys in the trenches, but they missed on that.
So, I mean, it's like throwing good money after bad. Like you make a bad decision and then you compound it with potentially another bad one. Now, again, if this all happens, let's say it all happens tomorrow and all of a sudden OBJ is a Seahawk. Okay. I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm not fired up about it. I don't think it's going to be a big difference maker for this team. A guy that is going to get 4 receptions a game.
He makes a difference in the sense of it's a guy that the opponents have to prepare for rather than just figuring out how you're going to manage DK and Tyler. Now it's 3 guys that you have to try and figure that out. And that makes it tough. And also we haven't talked about the Russell Wilson factor in this.
Okay. And I think this is where the actual interesting conversation is about all this OBJ stuff. So the idea that they're kind of whiffing on this, where it not because they're not trying, it's because of Seattle's inability to bring in free agents like this. So this is, to me, the more interesting conversation. Russell Wilson says, go out and get him. You're trying to keep Russ happy. We all know, the potential drama that could come up this next offseason because, media. And, depending on how Russ is feeling about the team and all that, he's like, okay, go out and go get this guy. And the team's like, all right, we'll do what we can. So they go out and they try to get the guy. And they can't even make the short list of the teams that he wants to go to. Well, now you've got a couple off seasons here in a row where you miss out on Antonio Brown when Russell's like, go out and get the guy. Now you're missing out on OBJ. Like, at what point does Russ just become frustrated and be like, look, I mean, it's not that the Seahawks are a bad organization and they're not trying to bring people in, but we can't get dudes. I can't get dudes to come here and be with me.
They didn't even need to be on the short list. They were on the short list in terms of waiver claim priority, and they decided not to go that route. Now, whether or not that it's because Beckham's agent said, hey, don't claim him. And so all the teams said, okay, which it kind of seems like that's what happened, allowing him to become a free agent. But if the report from Florio was true, that he was okay with coming to Seattle.
You just heard the words that came out of your mouth?
That's why I said if.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's a monster if, and it's a hard bridge to cross.
Well, then why forget about Florio? Why couldn't Russ made that deal happen? Why couldn't Russ have said, hey, come play with me. My team will claim you. And he puts in that word with Schneider and Carroll and says, we're doing this.
What if that conversation happened between Russ and Beckham? And Beckham was like, I'm good, bro. Like, there's other places I'd like to go. And also, too, the idea that he has never been a free agent in his career, I think is a big deal to him. And especially as injury prone as he's been over the last couple of years, he wants free agency now. You claim him off of waivers. And if you want the worst case scenario, the malcontent OBJ, that's who you're going to get if you claim him off of waivers. I don't care if Russ had a conversation or any of that stuff.
Well, then at least, though, if Russ had that conversation, then Russ should feel better about it not happening.
Maybe.
Josh Reynolds is out there.
Okay. This is going to be a storyline in the offseason. I can promise you that. And it was interesting during the bye week to kind of feel like we got to slip back into offseason mode a little bit there for half a minute with all this.
A little bit of a break for the.
Yeah.
But now coming up, it is the Green Bay Packers. And here's a team that was in the news here quite a bit during the bye week for the Seahawks.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of drama and brouhaha around everything. Like, all right, Aaron didn't get vaccinated.
And lied about it.
Fine. Like, I don't know that he's required to be honest with the public about his vaccination status.
No, but he is required to be honest about it and follow the protocols, which is why the team ended up getting fined $300,000, and him and Alan Lazard both got fined for going to a Halloween party. But yeah, that's I
kind of respect it. Like the idea of like, these rules are kind of arbitrary and dumb. And so I just choose to not participate.
The anti-establishment, non-rule follower that you're all in on this.
I'm not all in. I just to say there's a part of me that can. Yeah. I mean, I could see it and be like, well, okay, I feel you, bud.
Except now that I guess the good point is that the rest of the public is seeing Aaron Rodgers for the phony that many of us saw prior to this.
Yeah, although I did see some of my Packer fan friends who there's a couple that they're not in on the vaccine thing, and they were pretty fired up about their quarterback. Like thinking that he was, the voice and savior.
So there were some people that thought he was a phony that did a 180 based on it.
Or he was never a phony at all, and he's just their, guiding light and shining star. And congratulations to Aaron Rodgers was kind of the sentiment.
Aaron Rodgers for president is what you're saying, is that they're now putting that bumper sticker on their car.
Yeah, that'd be a vote they'd cast immediately. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. But I don't know. I've never been a big fan of his personality as a whole. I don't know. There's an arrogance and selfishness that kind of roll with that guy that I don't necessarily.
Oh, and it was on full display too when he went on the first time that he went on the Pat McAfee show, and that's what started everything with him. You know what? Maybe he's just disappointed, like I am, that we didn't actually get the magnetic powers that were promised out of this. I can't even pick up tiny screws with my finger. Like, the magnetic screwdrivers. I at least wanted a little bit of magnetism.
Dude, it was starting to snow here today. And I've been trying to pick up the homestead because I've had stuff scattered all over hell and gone with the 50 projects I've had going on. And just get it picked up before the snow really flies, right? I tried to move a water hydrant that is about to be installed with my mind, thinking that after getting the vaccine, I should easily be able to do this. And nothing. It didn't do shit. Catfish! This is bullshit. Catfish! I guess the only superpower that I get out of it is to be able to travel all over the country and not really worry about much, because it turns out vaccines are good for protecting against viruses, and I really don't have to worry about it. So I guess that superpower is nice.
There is that superpower. Some people just don't see that as much of a power as others, which I suppose that's.
But I guess the reason why I kind of get Aaron just a little bit on this is that through my travels, and just for example, I do a lot of work for one major mill corporation. It's a name that most Seattleites would recognize, and you guys could probably put it together from there. But I mean, I work at a lot of these different mills that are owned by this company, right?
Yeah.
Some of them I walk into, they could give two rips about anything that rhymes with COVID. And then some of the mills I go to, like one of them I went to over this last 10-day trip here, we had to show vaccination cards. And if it wasn't there, then you had to be masked and wear a freaking face shield, which does absolutely nothing against the virus, but that's cool. And just the arbitrariness of the rules. Like there's no consistency. There's no science. There's just everybody is making up their rules based on fear, whether it's fear that the government's going to control me with a vaccine, or I'm going to give up all my freedom, or fear that this virus is going to hop out around the milk aisle at the grocery store and strangle me and kill me in the grocery aisle. Like everybody's just, all of it is just based on fear. None of it is based on fact and science. Like it's so absurd. And so I get where his frustration would come from.
There's a sense of us all kind of winging it with a lot of these things. And yeah, you pointed out even how it can be disparate within one organization.
That's let alone the NFL, right? Or
and it's
different players
too.
And
I think the thing that bothered me the most about what Rodgers said was that throughout this commentary that he had to quote unquote stay true to himself. If that's the case, then why wasn't this your commentary? I don't know, when they asked you in the preseason if you were vaccinated. Like if you were staying true to yourself, stay true to yourself all the time.
Well, and this is the shyster part of Aaron Rodgers. I mean, look, he just didn't want to deal with the protocols like Cole Beasley maybe would have when he decided to, die on that hill of the vaccine. And so he tried to have his cake and eat it too.
Here's the thing, though. There's a middle ground. There's a middle ground to this. And I thought Bobby Wagner, of all people, nailed this perfectly in the preseason when he was asked about it.
I'm a private person, so if I make a private decision, I don't know if I care to have that shared. But I see both sides. I can understand people's hesitation for it. I can understand people wanting to get it. It's definitely a lot of misinformation out there on both sides. And so at the end of the day, you just make the best decision for yourself and your family, and you kind of move on from it. But I think it's a private decision that shouldn't be shared amongst everybody, in my opinion.
That was the end of July, early August. That was months ago, and Bobby nailed it back then.
Yeah, well, that's because Bobby's an amazing, thoughtful human being, whereas Aaron, he tends to kind of just roll about with himself. Like he's all about him. Where I think Bobby has a little deeper thought process into the world than maybe Aaron does. And I can't wait for him to rub Aaron Rodgers' nose in it when he's lying on top of him in the backfield after his third sack of the game. Tell him, why weren't you just honest in the first place, bro?
I do think that we're probably going to see Rodgers in this game. Now, I've seen a lot of people don't even know what all has to happen for when an unvaccinated player is coming off of the COVID list, because I've seen so many reports of different things, and so I'm hoping that my discussion with Justice from Acme Packing Company is correct. He said that he has to do 2 negative tests, but the 2 negative tests can be during this week. So he can test negative Thursday and Friday. Then that would make him eligible to come back on Saturday after that minimum 10-day period that he's required to do. And then on Pat McAfee, I think Rodgers alluded to the fact that he has to do some kind of stress test to make sure that cardiovascularly he can come back and be good to go when he hits the field.
Yeah. And by all accounts, it looks like his bout with the virus was one of the more mild cases, and he's probably doing fine.
I'm just glad that he told us that among his thoughts is that he is not some flat earther. Like I'm glad that he's drawn his line. He recognizes his thoughts might be a little bit out there, but not fringy, but not that out there.
Yeah. Well, I just like the one good thing that maybe comes out of this is that we've now reestablished the baseline that actual crazy is believing in flat earth theory. Like, so if that's what Aaron brings to this for all of us out of this, then, maybe
Aaron for president.
Or just maybe for retirement. Aaron for retirement. That's what I would say. Just retire, dude. Get the hell out of the league and out of my life. Go host a game show.
I'm okay with him retiring ahead of this game because after what I saw from Jordan Love against the Chiefs, I'd be all for the Seahawks playing Jordan Love this coming Sunday.
Okay, well, let's have a little Jordan Love discussion since we might see him in this game. I watched a lot of the Packers-Chiefs game.
Yeah.
And, man, the knives were out for Jordan Love. Holy smokes, the comments and stuff after the game and, just how bad it was and everybody just totally lighting him up, right? Like he was a total train wreck out there in his first ever start in the NFL. And all I would challenge you is, if we could get a Wayback Machine or a DeLorean or however you want to do it, right? And insert Aaron Rodgers behind that performance from the offensive line, he's going to look a lot more like week 1 Aaron Rodgers than he has the last 7 games. Jordan Love didn't even have a catfishing chance on like 80% of his dropbacks.
Well, I would say that with Aaron Rodgers, he's a quicker decision maker. He finds the outlet. Well, for one, I don't think the Chiefs would have approached him defensively the same way that they approached Jordan Love. Like they were sending the house often.
Oh, yeah.
And Love didn't know what to do with it. So it wasn't so much the offensive line. I thought it was more of the Packers' game plan. I don't think they did him any favors in terms of play calling, in terms of, just getting out there and trying to run the football a little bit more. Setting up some of those screen passes a little more often. I think that if we were to go in the Wayback Machine, they probably prepare for that first half a little bit differently. And I don't know why they didn't, because they knew that he was a young quarterback in a first-time situation. And that's kind of what the Chiefs do when, they're willing to take risks on defense.
And the Chiefs can't stop the run. So why aren't you pounding Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon like every down? Like I don't understand that. So the scheme was awful for Jordan Love. And then literally, the pass protection, JT O'Sullivan did a really good breakdown. He does the QB School channel on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And I watched that and I mean, I had my thoughts going into it. And as he broke it down, I was like, yeah, this is what I was seeing. This is it. There were so many times that in pass pro that they would send the house, and the guys, usually what you want to do when they send the house is like, you're going to have a free runner somewhere. Okay, fine. We all understand that. So then what do? You actually block it up so that the guy that's the furthest from the quarterback and has the longest way to run is the free runner, to give them a freaking chance. And time again, they would let one of the interior guys up the A-gap. They just let him run. I don't care how fast of a decision maker Aaron Rodgers is. I don't care. He's going to get blowed up the exact same way. It was trash. It was so trash. The kid didn't even have a fighting chance. Yeah. And then when he did get just a tiny bit of time towards the end of the game, ends up scoring a touchdown.
Yeah, it opened up a little bit.
And they were in that game the whole time.
They were in the game the whole time, despite all of the special teams issues. They had a missed field goal, a blocked field goal, a punt where it went off one of the blockers' feet and set the Chiefs up for a really easy, well, it ended up being a field goal. Probably should have been a touchdown. But there were so many special teams mistakes in that game, and still the Chiefs only scored 13.
Right. And so that brings me a little bit to Green Bay's defense. I mean, special teams, let's not gloss over it, because going into this matchup, boy, it does sure seem that we have the advantage in special teams.
Yeah, a little bit. It seems like
a large margin.
And our special teams hasn't been great this year either.
That's not true. They haven't been great in the return game, but they've been great on coverage.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, Myers missing some kicks too. Yeah,
here and there. I mean, kickers miss field goals. It's true. It happens.
Just pointing it out, it hasn't been great.
Even Big Balls Dixon can shank one now and then, like it happens.
Or punt it into the end zone multiple times, yeah.
Yeah, that's something that does annoy me. But the Packers defense, I'm trying to gauge what I saw on Sunday Night Football, or it was just the afternoon game, I guess.
Yeah.
The defense performance of the Packers, and then trying to decide whether that was a great performance by Green Bay or the Chiefs offense is just really that broken.
I think it's a little bit of both, because talking to Justice with Acme Packing Company, he's actually excited about the guys who they have at corner for the first time, the guys who they have at linebacker. And I haven't heard that from a Packers fan in as long as I've been podcasting and covering games between the Seahawks and the Packers. So
yeah, definitely corner.
Yeah, well, definitely corner. And then, yeah, in terms of pass rush, they're okay. It's the interior, though, that I think Green Bay has to be concerned about, because they have so many injuries. They're down to like their fifth or sixth string dude on the defensive interior, that with a guy like Ethan Posick coming back for just a second start, it doesn't hurt my feelings at all to know that they're struggling up the middle on that defensive line.
Posick had a decent performance against the Jags.
Yeah, that's okay.
I thought. Yeah. And we've also seen...
he did get... they made him look silly once or twice, but yeah.
Again, sometimes things happen. But with that said, I do think that the Seahawks have had their best success running the football this season, between the tackles and up the middle. And if that's a weakness of the Packers, then that is a huge boon for the Seahawks going into this game. I mean, I don't care who's in the backfield except for Not Penny, and just run it between the tackles.
And get Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf the ball and get them involved.
Sure. If you don't have to because you're running the snot out of it, then I'm fine with that. I don't need Russ winging the ball all over the place in his first game back, man. Like, I know that he's totally cleared to play, and I watched the little clip that the Seahawks put out from practice, and the one thing that stood out to me was he was doing some stretches on like a knee, and somebody threw him a ball and he caught it. And then he just threw it. Like, you could tell he wasn't thinking about it. Like, everything was just normal. He just say, whoop,
right.
Just threw it. It sounded just like that too. And I just, that was encouraging to me, because after hearing the surgeon with his little statement saying he was cleared to play, it was all the stuff before that I was like, wait, what? Like, this is the worst.
This was the worst thing I've ever seen. We got him into immediate surgery the very next day. That was my favorite part of it.
Yeah. I'm I'm kind of hoping that Dr. Shin is has a large ego, as most surgeons do, and most of that statement was about him saving the Seahawks day.
Yeah,
and not that like Russ has miraculously overcome, hopefully, the worst finger injury in the history of quarterbacks. So, well, I guess we'll see.
I did have to wonder about how many quarterback finger injuries he's seen, if that was the worst one.
I would question, did he see Steve DeBerg's pinky like 25 years ago?
Well, probably not. He was probably still prior to his medical school career.
Yeah, that dude was out there with a bandage the size of Texas on that pinky, like throwing the football. So that one seemed like it could be just as bad, if not worse.
Do we need to go back and break down the statement? Like, did he hedge it in so many different ways? Like the worst middle finger injury from a quarterback with the Seahawks in the NFC West that he's seen in his medical career?
No, he said like all QBs ever.
Okay.
He's very declarative.
Yeah, seeing how Russ is going to come back from this is going to be the story, because I think we all just assume as Seahawks fans, and based on what we've seen from Russ, that he's just going to come back in and be like normal Russell Wilson, and everything's going to be fine, and we're going to go to the playoffs, and then we're going to upset a team in the first round, then we're going to go on to win the Super Bowl. I think we all have that in our mind as how this is all going to play out.
Yeah, well, we're hopeful that way, right? And if you look down the schedule, you're kind of like, all right, we got to go 7-2. Something like that, get to that 10-win mark. And you look at the upcoming schedule and you're like, that's in range. You're going to have to win one of 3 tough games and then beat the rest of the kind of softer part of that schedule.
This is one of those tough games though, right?
This would be one of them that I put on there. And fortunately for us, I mean, it's shaping up potentially to where we see a Packers team slightly depleted.
Okay, well, let's say best case scenario that Rodgers is back. You think he has a little bit extra fuel going into this game? Because I think he does.
I'd be surprised if he didn't play, because he seems to have it out for the Seahawks because of all the times we've handed him his ass in the NFC Championship game. So I can definitely see how he would have a little extra fire there. The other thing though is that you got to take into account controversy in another way. We were just talking about OBJ and the locker room headaches and all that stuff. Well, also, too, I mean, how many of his teammates are looking at him now and being like, you lying skis ball? Like, we all did this. We were all 2-poke team guys.
They all knew from all accounts, because he was doing all the things protocol-wise that he was supposed to do outside of the media room and outside of, I guess, going to the Halloween party.
Oh, well, there you go. So why is everybody pissed then?
No, I don't think his teammates are pissed.
No, I mean, like the general public.
Oh, because he lied. And because he's not a 2-shot team guy. I mean, I would be upset as a Packers fan, right? Because the kind of season that they're having, they could have used him in that game against the Chiefs. They win that game with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback over the Chiefs. And if it comes down to it, where they need that game to have the number 1 seed over the Arizona Cardinals, over the LA Rams, then yeah, as a fan of the Packers, I think I'm upset at Rodgers for not being that 2-shot team guy, and then going to all these things, and there's still a virus out there.
Well, I'll tell you this much. I don't know that they win that game if Aaron starts, because he doesn't play special teams. So I think that would be a large part of that. But in terms of he could have put up
14 on that Chiefs team.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. We don't know that for sure. We really don't. Although, I mean, I'm sure Devontae Adams would think so, man. Like, he was exasperated on a number of those throws. Just like, come on, dude.
Okay, you brought up the one guy. Can we stop Devontae Adams for one time that the Seahawks play the Packers? Can we find a way to slow down Devontae Adams, especially if it's Aaron Rodgers in this game? Because I swear he finds a way to get 15 passes thrown Adams' way every single time these two teams face off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would love to think that the Seahawks would understand that and maybe run a little more doubles his way, pay a little extra attention to him when he's in the slot for sure, because that's one of the ways they've killed us with him in the past. However, I look back on the Seahawks history of taking care of guys that kill you, Alvin Kamara, and just not make that adjustment at all for like no reason when they're the only dude on that team that could beat you. I don't have high hopes that we're going to come out and be like, oh, look at that. Kenny Norton put together a really impressive game plan here and is doubling Devontae wherever he goes.
Wow, we really shut down the run game, and Aaron Jones did not beat us this game, but Devontae Adams had 215 yards.
Again, in 3 tugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't have a lot of faith in that. But then, okay, the defense has played better for a good stretch here. Having DJ Reed in his more natural spot seems to make a difference. I mean, Trey Brown is looking like a solid pick, and I think he can do a lot of good things for us in the secondary. And they're starting to figure out the communication a little better in their fit. So it's going to be an interesting game. We're going to find out if this defensive improvement is for real.
This will be the first time that they really face a quarterback, if Rodgers is healthy and out there, that can put some pressure on the defense.
Oh, for sure. And one thing that we do know is that we're not going to see a bunch of screens out of the Seahawks offense, because Pete in his presser today was asked about running screens. It's yeah, well, it's just not something we do well.
They're not good at it. He figured out if he went to work in this bye week, he realized that this team is terrible at screens. Just don't call them.
How do I not have a job with the Seahawks if that's the case? I could have solved that conundrum for him 2 seasons ago.
Well,
maybe practice it more. I don't know. It's that almost 99% of the teams can run a screen effectively.
I was at one of the practices in the preseason. Well, I guess it's been a couple of years now, but I saw them running screens. So they do practice it.
No more. Whatever it is that they do isn't enough.
All screen all the time.
Yeah. I mean, we got the moon ball down. Okay. We're all good on that. So I don't know that needs a lot of extra work, but yeah, I'd like to see that. Just lamenting with our Broncos friend Jared. I mean, there are 2 teams that can't run a screen worth a catfish in this league, and they are the Broncos and the Seahawks. Can't do it, and they can't stop it.
That's a tough combination.
It's a frustrating one.
I was looking at some of the stat comparisons for these 2 teams heading into this game, and I was a little bit surprised to see how well these 2 teams match up. Yards per play, Seahawks have the edge, 5.7 to 5.5 yards per play. Points per play, actually, they have the edge there. And they're definitely a more run-pass balanced team than the Packers have been. Completion percentage, even with a couple games of Geno Smith, their completion percentage is up over 70%. Where the Packers have them on offense is third down conversion percentage, and I think the Seahawks are last in the league in that with 31%. Packers up more toward the middle, 40%. And red zone scoring for Seattle, 75% compared to the Packers' 55%.
Oh, yeah. If they can stay on schedule, this offense actually rolls pretty well. Now, they always seem to have that stupid penalty in the most inopportune times. And you said that the stats kind of bear out that these 2 teams are more equal than maybe the records indicate. And if you've watched the Seahawks football, which I know we all have, I mean, this team could easily be 5-3 instead of 3-5. Easily.
Yeah, you're just talking win a couple overtime games rather than lose them.
Close out the freaking Titans.
Yeah.
And close out the Steelers.
And the Saints game was awfully close too. Could have won that one.
Yeah, maybe double Alvin Kamara earlier.
Still mad about that.
Why wouldn't I be?
You should be.
Yeah.
Where the Seahawks defense really has the edge to the Green Bay defense, I was surprised to see. Third down conversion percentage. The Seahawks defense, 33%, which is really good.
It is really good.
And red zone scoring percentage, 48%. And the Packers, 76%. So that is a huge edge.
It's a huge edge. And this is where the numbers don't seem to match up with the eye test, right? At least for that first part of the season when they were just so god awful. But a couple adjustments here and there in the secondary, and it seems to have kind of buttoned it up. So again, this is the litmus test. This is the first big one. We'll see. We'll see if this is real or not.
If you're looking at this game as a litmus test type game, then do you want to see Aaron Rodgers out there? Or do you just accept it as a litmus test game when he's out there?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I mean, if we don't have to play Aaron Rodgers because of the position we are record wise, I'm fine with that. I would prefer that. If we got to play Aaron, then we got to play Aaron. All right, bring it. Let's go. So, beginning of the second half of the season, it's go time. We're all in a different frame of mind.
end that 20-plus year drought of winning at Lambeau. That's all I want. That's all I want.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be a break in that at some point, right? Like, I mean, the coin can only come up against you so many times in a row.
Only so many.
Yeah.
Is there a Veterans Day Santa out there? That's my Veterans Day wish.
Oh, okay.
Maybe a Veterans Day fairy?
I don't know that fits the idea of the military. I'm going to go with more of a Veteran Day genie.
Yeah, all right.
Because they can be kind of yoked.
How about a Veterans Day mermaid that makes wishes come true?
That'd be better for my deal, I think. I think I'd enjoy that more. But again, I don't know that it fits with the.
It totally fits. The Navy guys see mermaids.
Oh, I wasn't aware. Do they have they released that footage, like the UFO footage yet? Or
I mean, it's probably part of the same package.
Probably. That's probably what they didn't tell us when it was all said and done. They're like, yeah, I don't know about UFOs, but I'm not talking about this mermaid catfish either. So
let's get to the second half of the show.
Sounds good. We're off the tracks with mermaids.
Here it is, the segment everybody waits on pins and needles for every single week. The brand new segment to this season, our NFC West Watch.
This is a segment? I thought we were just going to have a casual conversation about other teams in our division just organically.
It's a segment about a casual conversation about other teams in our division.
Oh, okay. Can we start out with catfish, you Niners?
That's a great way to start it out. Because It's funny that this is the week that 49ers fans are figuring out that their team is bad.
Yeah.
It was all right there. They were expected to beat the Cardinals. Cardinals had no D-Hop. They had no Kyler Murray. 49ers fans were going into this game expecting to win, and they got smushed.
Got smushed. And the thing about it is like, this was the year that we were told that, oh, okay, well, now they're going to be healthy. And like, you know, the great Kyle Shanahan's going to get it all like put together. And I mean, golly, if I had a nickel for every time I heard about all that nonsense.
Bosa's healthy. Yeah, the defense is going to be fine. Fred Warner got paid.
Right, yeah. And it just turns out that one season that they lucked their way into the Super Bowl was, how do you put it, a freaking fluke.
It's looking that way, and I think that's the thought process that's going through Niners fans' head this week. They're realizing that was a fluky season.
All right, so when Shanahan gets canned this offseason, how many coaches is that then that Pete Carroll has then outlasted in San Francisco? That would be 5?
Okay, you got Harbaugh.
Was Carroll there for the last Nolan year?
Was he?
Was Carroll in Seattle the last Nolan year, or was Harbaugh there that first year?
Let's take a look. You had Nolan, Singletary. I think there was overlap with Singletary. I think Pete and Mike faced off in that first year in 2010.
Okay. All right. I was thinking Singletary was after Harbaugh for some reason.
No, and I think Singletary, I don't think he made it through that season because they went to Tom Sula as the interim coach.
Right. Yeah. We're going to count Tom Sula too, just because it's fun.
Well, the thing is that Tom Sula was the interim coach, but then it was Harbaugh, and then Tom Sula came back and he was the actual coach after Harbaugh.
Oh, that's right. And then it was Chip Kelly.
So we're counting Tom Sula twice.
Yeah.
Because it's fun.
Because it's fun. Okay, so what does that put us at then? So Singletary, Tom Sula twice, and Harbaugh. That's 4.
Chip
Kelly's 5.
Yeah.
And then Shanahan will be 6.
Would be 6.
6 freaking coaches during the time that Pete Carroll has been the coach of the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah. Well, there's probably a lot of Seahawks fans that are saying, well, Pete's going after this year too, so maybe you can't count Shanahan. Who goes first?
You think Pete?
Well, Shanahan doesn't make the playoffs, so he goes first.
Oh yeah. If whoever thinks Pete's not back next year it's spoken something that I want some of.
Well, we don't know how the rest of the season is going to play out.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's had what? This will be his second bad year in the entire time Russ has been there. The other one being a winning season. They just barely missed the playoffs, which is, to be honest, if I was going to put my money on what happens this year, that would be what I'd put it on. End up with a winning record, just miss the playoffs.
I could say, I do think that there is a a series of things that would happen that could lead to Pete not coming back.
Okay, well, it sounds like you're doing that quantifying thing that we talked about with the doctor back there with Flathead Lake.
Just saying there's a chance.
Well, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that it's unlikely, very unlikely.
Okay, I would probably put it on the unlikely side as well.
There you go. So, haha, suck it, Niners. Now, I wish I could say the same thing for the Cardinals. I was predicting their 5-game losing streak and Kyler getting hurt, and like they lost a game, then Kyler gets hurt. And
but
they should have lost.
But they played the Niners.
Yeah, I know.
Their 5-game streak starts. We just don't count the Niners game.
It just continues next week.
Yeah, if they lose this weekend, when they lose this weekend, then it'll be a 2-game losing streak.
Yeah, who do they got this weekend?
I don't know. I was trying to be declarative about them losing this weekend.
Oh, I know. I just wanted to know who that was to.
I don't know. The Jaguars.
Okay, good enough.
No,
they just beat the Bills. Why not?
It's the Panthers.
Catfish. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's back.
Is he? Oh, maybe we
so.
yeah. I was going to say maybe we get good Sam Darnold then, now that McCaffrey's back. But and by good Sam Darnold, I mean okay Sam Darnold. But he's hurt too. So
yeah. PJ Walker though.
PJ Walker.
PJ Walker. Did you watch him in the little the league that tried to start the AAF?
Yeah, he lit it up.
He was a baller, dude.
He is.
Come on, PJ.
We found the 2 PJ Walker fans, and they're right here on this podcast.
Hey, man, our fan club is going to grow exponentially when he takes down the hobbled Kyler Murray in the Cards. This is going to be great.
Not saying that we would want to put like a monetary wager down on this, but it's possible now. This is the way the NFL's going.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of action can we get on that game?
I don't know. I don't know how action works. So
-10. The Cardinals are 10-point favorites over the PJ Walker led Carolina Panthers.
Clearly, they didn't watch the AAF. Vegas was not tuned into that league when it was around.
Kind of want to bet on this game.
Okay,
it'd be like the first time ever.
Yeah, for sure. I vote that we put down $12.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I can make that happen.
Yeah. That feels like it has good hawker to it all the way around.
Straight up, or do we take the points?
Yeah. Put your money where the mouth is. Straight freaking up.
I love it.
Yeah.
This is the kind of responsible betting I think that we could handle on this show is a $12 bet against an NFC West team that we hate for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Pretty much any bet that's under triple digits, like everybody can survive that for the most part. So I think if you just keep it in there and you only make like 1 or 2 a week, you probably aren't going to have to call those numbers they list after the all the gambling ads.
All the commercials, all the DraftKings commercials or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, if we're going to talk about teams that we hate, we should probably talk a little bit about the Rams.
Yeah. I mean, they had some struggles in their last game.
Our loss to the Titans feels not as terrible after watching that.
Yeah, for sure. It was nice watching the McVay offense struggle there a little bit. I wish they could have more clunkers like that. I mean, maybe they're the one that totally falls apart. But yeah, they definitely got a dose of bad Stafford there. A couple back-to-back picks, one being a pick 6.
That was fun to see.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they're going to have as much trouble this week because now they play San Francisco on Monday night.
Well, now they're fighting for Kyle's job, right? So maybe they save him.
And haven't the Niners kind of had the Rams number? Like, isn't that how it's worked? Like, we've had the Niners number, the Rams have had the
Seahawks
they've
number.
had the Rams number. Yeah, it's this weird trifecta here that everyone's better than everybody else.
Yeah, then there's this other team that's like good for a few games and always bad.
Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, right, that's what they're called.
That's them.
Yeah. No, that was satisfying to watch them go down. I was definitely a big Titans fan that day. And also, too, like, I mean, I called Jared and I let him know that that GM Patton is dead to me. He's a dead human to me. I hope their franchise struggles. I hope they do crap with all those draft picks that they got for Vaughn. I hope that everything goes bad for the Broncos because screw you guys for trading with the Rams.
Yeah. Jared was the one that told us that Vaughn was like the untouchable guy. Like he was going to retire as a Bronco.
Well, in fairness, when I did talk to him, he said he almost cried when he saw the news.
Yeah. Doesn't surprise me at all.
No, I get it.
And Jared's not that big of a crier.
No, not really. He doesn't have a lot of feelings on the inside. He's just kind of it's just so frustrating. But Jared said that maybe Von Miller is now a curse for the Rams. That was what he was thinking. That this was the one bridge too far that the Rams have gone with their super team building.
Maybe the NFL having to work in LA didn't account for the fact that taking a franchise player away from his team and giving it
mid-season,
that would somehow curse their beloved LA franchise.
Yeah, trading away your last 4 draft picks for the next 10 years. Like, there's no way this can work in the long haul. There's no effing way. And I was listening to Simmons' podcast from a couple of weeks ago on the plane, and he had Traeger on there again. And oh my God.
Oh, it's the smartest thing they could do. You're giving away unscratched lottery tickets for proven guys.
Proven guy. This is just, it's never been done before like this at this level. This is all groundbreaking. Like, this might be the way that all teams do this going forward. I mean, geez. I mean, Sean, he woke up this morning, catfish some greatness, and then made this trade.
I didn't hear it, but I can imagine exactly it sounding that way.
It was not far off. It was maddening.
Well, speaking of people who catfish greatness,
yeah.
How about our members of the flock?
That's absolutely right. Every morning, like clockwork.
Especially our executive producers, DCH, Dustin Mock, Brian Shaw, and Kevin Watterson.
Oh, yeah. Scholars and gentlemen.
That's our Welcome to the Flock segment. Get in the flock, getintheflock.com, and you can be a member. Everybody took the bye week off.
And that's fine. I'm not even mad about that. And we'll see how much that comes up in terms of new little flockers as this team begins their postseason push with a victory over the Green Bay Packers.
Well, you know what? I took the week off too because I was supposed to put up the new Tiny Pieces of Seahawks stuff at tinypiecesofseahawksstuff.com, and I failed to do that. So,
okay,
a part of this is on me too. There's just a lot of us taking last week off.
Are you refreshed and ready for the second half of the year now, though?
I mean, by taking last week off, meaning I only put out a show every other day rather than every day, then yes, right. I took a week off.
Oh, all right. Well, there you go. See, you're ready to rock down the stretch here.
Let's take a look at the Pick'em League. Honey Hole Hawk leading the league, 91 points. Unlimited Hawkra at 90. And Peaceful Easily Feeling right there. Number 3.
Dropping like a stone.
No, it's hanging in there.
Well,
everybody had a rough week in week 9.
Well, that's because it was one of those weird, bizarro NFL weeks.
It was, but we did have some people who actually did all right. We had someone get 10 picks correct this last week.
Hey, man. Even a blind squirrel finds it out once in a while, I guess.
I don't know what sorcery might be involved with making those kinds of picks, but 10 picks correct is good.
Well, hey, maybe they just went full rando.
That might have been the way to do it. It was, and here's the team name. Show me the Monet.
All right. Solid movie reference, the whole thing. That's great.
Yeah, getting the win. Jesper Sacco also got 10 correct, and the ultimate Nigel Warrior with 10.
That's pretty
Nigel
good
Warrior back from IR.
Yeah.
We didn't mention him.
That's exactly right. No, it's a deal of some kind.
Yeah, it's
having him back.
Yeah, he's a guy on the team who's back.
Yeah, and congratulations to him.
And some people are like, Nigel Warrior, I didn't even know he was on this team.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of people.
I'm not even going to blame you because I think he's been injured ever since he came to the team.
Absolutely.
All right. So congrats on the pick'em. I now that it's mid-season, I should probably start working on prizes, but it may just wait till the end of the season. We'll have to see. It's like this Tiny Pieces of Seahawks stuff.
Yeah. There's no more bye weeks, so yeah, it's going to have to wait till the end of the season. Probably.
All right. Got an item here in the mail bag from the Bod. Hi, fellas. Well, Barry and I had another long chat last week, so I gave him my email slot as he wanted to get in touch. We are both quite happy to go with our nicknames because during our careers, we were called much worse names by various groups of teenagers. My only problem about being the Bod is there's another bloke in Stratford trying to steal my thunder.
He's going to have to die. Yeah, that guy's got to go.
Take him out. He must be popular, though, because even Adams heard of him. Did he?
I don't know. I mean, was he, wait. So the Bard is a Shakespeare thing?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know. I legit didn't know. And I know that made Bloomy delightfully happy. But like I said before, I wasn't a theater nerd. I don't know.
Last weekend was good watching the football, smoking my metaphorical cigar, and not feeling stressed at all. I even enjoyed it. But this week, it's back to normal. Will Russ play? Will Aaron play? When did we last win in Green Bay? Ooh, that kind of rhymes. Will Russ play? Will Aaron play? When did we last win in Green Bay? There's the Bard.
There it is.
I am still haunted and scarred by the coin toss for overtime in the playoffs. Wait, I have an idea for a play. Where's my quill pen? John D., the Bard, whatever.
See, I like that he brought up the Hasselback coin flip because this is my official prediction. This game does go to overtime. They flip the coin at the middle of the field. Seahawks win the toss. And Russ says, we want the ball and we're going to score. And then does it and rams it right down the throat. And we win the game and the curse is broken and everything goes on as it should.
The only problem with this is, so does Russ go out with Geno to flip the coin at the start of overtime?
Yes.
Okay.
Look, I'll tell you what.
So Geno calls the toss, and then Russ makes the call.
Right.
I like it.
Yeah. Hey, and look, if it's all Geno and he runs the whole thing out that way, right, and he even says it, I'm good with that too. Just somebody needs to do it.
Somebody needs to do it and break the curse. Hey,
and then
is there a parlay that I can put down with this Arizona bet that Seahawks go to overtime and say they want the ball and they're going to score? I know there's got to be someone out there willing to take that.
Yeah, one of those, fan kings or draft duels or whatever
books.
it is. Yeah, they've got to have that somewhere that you can bet on. And look, I think if you bet $12 on that parlay, you could probably turn that $12 into 1.2.
We can retire off of this podcast.
Yeah.
With a bet like that.
No, not from the podcast. I keep doing the podcast. I'd retire from wheel grinding first.
Right. No, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
If I can find someone to allow us that bet to where $12 turns into 1.2, I'll do it.
Okay. PJ Walker parlayed with we want the ball and we're going to score.
And we actually score and win.
Yeah. 1 million to 1 odds.
Perfect.
I think that's how the odds work.
On to do better and better at life.
My do better this week, Brandon, is for the idiotic ref in the Monday night game that did Cassius Marsh as dirty as you could possibly do and called that ridiculous taunting foul. Ridiculous. Now we're throwing fouls at looks. If that's the case, then everybody's relationship is endangered right now. Because and for every dirty look your spouse gives you, you can throw a flag at this point. Now Cassius Marsh can't make a sack, be excited, and then look at the sideline of the team that cut him earlier in the year. Oh my stars, he looked at him. We just can't. I remember seeing that in live action, be we can't have this in the game. This has to be done. Somebody needs to do something about it. And then this idiot ref was oh yeah, sure, no problem. I can take care of that. Gives Cassius Marsh a butt check. And then throws a flag just so that Cassius Marsh then gets chewed out by his position coach or the D coordinator or something like that on the sideline. And he's what the hell did I do? I just got here, made a coverage stack, looked at the sideline for, 3 seconds, didn't say a catfish word, and somehow cost us a penalty in a critical moment of the game. That ref, I don't know what side of the bed he woke up on. I don't understand this taunting rule. It's all the dumbest thing in the world. All of it. Do better.
Man, the hip check to me, or the butt check, I guess probably more accurately, backing into Marsh, that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I have no explanation for it. And Marsh has been going and doing a media tour after it. Yeah. I think enjoying the attention that he's bringing on this ref now for this terrible call. The thing is, though, I don't think that they're going to get rid of this rule. I heard Mike Tomlin saying, well, this is exactly what we want to do. We want to clean up all this taunting that's going on, and because we don't want it to get, we don't want all these fights and stuff.
All these fights,
I guess.
What
that's not exactly the words that I don't think I'm quoting him exactly, but generally.
I know, but that's the sentiment. Like, how many giant brouhahas are we having every year? How many?
Yeah, I guess. To me, it wasn't an epidemic that we needed to be concerned with.
No, definitely not. So that's a lot of fun. I appreciate the league wasting our time and life with this nonsensical rule.
The other one that I wasn't really excited about, that Falcons New Orleans game, I was watching a little bit, and the Saints had no business being in that game toward the end of it. Like, they should not have even got the go-ahead touchdown. There was a 3rd and 14 where one of the linebackers comes in off of a delayed blitz, just comes screaming in and jumps up in the air because Simeon was going back to throw it. And he ends up tucking the ball because the guy's, flying into his face. He would have blocked the pass if he would have thrown it. And his arm just happens to brush Simeon's helmet as he's screaming and falling on top of him. And so instead of a 3rd and 25 or a 4th and 25, first down for the Saints.
Yeah. It's annoying. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I understand that the NFL is trying to protect the quarterbacks because they're the money makers. I get it, but it's just too far. It's just too far. The other thing that I want to bring up to you, why were you watching Saints Falcons? What's wrong with you?
That is a good question. Was that the night game? It must have been the Sunday night game.
I don't think I can give you that as an excuse.
Maybe I don't have an excuse. Maybe I have a problem.
I guess so.
Well, I wanted the Saints to lose because I felt that would help our deal better if the Saints lose.
Yeah.
And so it was just of interest to me, and I watched the end. So yes.
There you go. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I don't care. Bring it on.
Yeah. I mean, I just thought you had better things to do with your life.
I'm willing to stay true to myself and own the fact that I watched that game.
I will give you credit for being truthful about it from the get-go.
Well, if I'm being truthful about these NFL refs, I'm also piling on top of them because not only is it the refs, but it's the league, because we saw just a week and a half ago, DK Metcalf get flagged for hugging the freaking goalpost in the end zone, which, okay, fine. Yes, we talked about it. Yeah, and we talked about how ridiculous that is. And sure, by the letter of the rule, okay, he should have been flagged for it. Mm-hmm. But then on top of it, the NFL doubles down and they fine him for it. Does that seem like a fineable offense? Okay, it's flaggable by the rules, but why do you have to pile on with fines? Are they going to start fining players for holding calls next? This is the weirdest thing that I thought the flag was weird. The fine is even weirder. NFL, do better.
Yeah, just wait until they fine Cassius Marsh for giving a sideline a stern look. Because that's coming next. They'll double down on that nonsense too. But look, I think that you're not taking the plague that is in America here of human on goalpost violence seriously. I mean, this is a scourge that we have to eliminate. We've got to get it out of the game.
This cannot be a part of the game.
Yeah, I mean, all the way across. I mean, what does that, when DK Metcalf jumps on the goalpost like that, what does that say to the children, Brandon?
Oh, you're going to have kids hugging stop signs, hugging no parking signs.
Yeah.
Hugging parking meters.
That's a slippery slope.
Where does it
stop?
What
happens if they start hugging trees?
Well, we never can have that.
No, I'll be out of a job, Brandon. That's where this leads, and that's why they had to fine them, because next thing I know, kids will be hugging trees, people are going to care about the environment, and I won't be able to work in sawmills anymore. You're just not taking this seriously enough.
On to Better at Life.
All right, man. My Better at Life than Skip Bayless this week is for Dr. Shin, even though I crapped on him a little earlier in the podcast for being kind of a drama queen. He's obviously pretty good at his craft if he put together the worst finger injury in the history of quarterbacks and got Russ back before the timetable. I mean, I'm just thankful, man, because that definitely gave a big lift to my sales as I was traveling this week, knowing that this was all on schedule, Russ is coming back, it's all looking good, and the Seahawks have a legitimate chance to make a run for the postseason. So thank you, doctor. You did all right. Better at life than Skip Bayless.
Yes, that doctor is definitely better at life than Skip Bayless. I'm glad Dr. Shin chose to be a finger doctor and not a leg doctor.
Yeah. I mean, we just don't have enough phalange specialists out there.
Not expert ones that can work on gnarled fingers like Russell Wilson's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, my better at life this week, I'm going to go Bobby Wagner. I played the clip earlier. I also want to recognize that Bobby has some of the, you brought up Quandre Diggs, and he's a fun press conference to listen to just because he's a cool, laid-back dude. And he cut out the dopes this week. I don't know if you caught that. I didn't notice any dopes. But so maybe better at life, an honorary one for him from you.
Yeah. No, me and Q are just working together, like he needs to get rid of the dopes and I need to get rid of the knows. And I can't do it, like it's not working.
Just not working.
He's doing better than me.
But Bobby Wagner, when he shows up to a press conference every week, like he comes with a purpose of something he wants to talk about. And whether it's a business that he finds important, this week it was a Kobe Bryant, like a kind of a tribute video that he had watched. And he talked about how he's always kind of made it a point to get business tips and advice. And
yeah,
but the cool thing is about doing that is it gives him an opportunity to come out with the media in a way to kind of a starting point for the conversation so that it ends up being more of a conversation rather than just throwing questions at Bobby, because he comes out with something that's important to him. And then the questions work in of you kind of get an insight into where Bobby's coming from in terms of his background, in terms of things that he finds important. And it's all very interesting to me. And so for Bobby to make that emphasis this year and really bring some added dynamic to his press conferences, Bobby Wagner, better at life than Skip Bayless.
Yeah, he's had some very thoughtful press conferences, especially this season, and hats off to him for sure. I also enjoy the fact that he was like, yeah, I'm not letting the media run this show. Like, I'm the one that's here that they all want to hear from. So why am I talking about what they want to talk about?
Yeah, we're bringing what I want to talk about to this, and then we're going to start it my way, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, and if you ever wondered if herding cats was possible, it is. He just did it. That's amazing.
Bobby's figured out a lot of stuff this offseason. Bobby Wagner for president.
Now that would get my vote. I could go there.
And with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.